What's going on, guys? It's Kitten of Doom, and in today's video we are going to be going over Chronos, going over all of his abilities and how I like to build him. So Chronos is a mage, if you didn't already know, and the main two roles that he does in Conquest is mid and carry. So he can actually be really great at the carry role, so we will get into that a little bit later. And right now we're just going to go over his abilities. His first ability is called Time Rift, and it's pretty straightforward. Chronos creates a rift in time, damaging all enemies in the area. And damage goes from 80 to 260 plus 80% of your magical power. And the cooldown is 5 seconds, so not too bad of a cooldown on his one. And you mainly want to be picking this up at level 1 just because of its short cooldown. You can get the melee creeps in your first ability, and then second time you have a backup you can hit the archers. Second ability is called Accelerate, and this is what makes Chronos a little bit complicated. So Chronos accelerates himself over time, allowing him to move faster initially and gain speed over time. While active, his attack speed is increased. This ability also stops the Wheel of Time, and the Wheel of Time is his passive, and we will get into that a little bit more in game, and I can show you how his wheel works. But his passive has 4 little sections that you're gonna see it just rotating constantly throughout the game, and if you hit his second ability while in section 1, he heals for 1.5% max health per second, so this can be a great thing to help him sustain in lane. In his second section, he gains 100% mana refund on his abilities, so if you can manage this really well, he doesn't really run out of mana during laning phase, which is really great. In section 3, he gains 25% magical power, pretty straightforward. And section 4 is really important because it lets you have 35% magical power that contributes to your basic attacks. So you want to be using section 4 to damage towers because he can just shred towers with this section of his ability. So it can be a little bit complicated if you don't know how to play him at first, but he does have so many tools in his kit that make him really good. It makes him move faster, so it can help him get out of bad situations, and it helps with attack speed, so this is another reason why he is good in the carry role. Third ability is called Stop Time. Shooting forward spinning gears of time, any enemies hit by Chronos' attack have their attack and movement speed slowed to a stun, taking damage on the initial hit and again when they are stunned, and this is a line ability, and the damage applies twice, so it goes from 50 to 130 plus 40% of your magical power and stuns for 1 second. Chronos' ultimate makes sense for him, and it is basically that Chronos travels through time to where he was 8 seconds ago, gaining health and mana back to the values of that time. All his cooldowns are instantly reset as well, and cooldown scales down from 100 seconds to 80 seconds. This is what makes Chronos really good. He can pretty much just take a bunch of damage, bunch of ultimate damage, and just rewind and, reset again to full health. So it's a really strong ultimate, but you do have to be careful because you don't want to rewind back into the whole enemy team, so you just have to be wary of where you are using this ultimate. Passive is called Time Lord, and Chronos becomes empowered as time flows through him. Every 2 minutes he gains a stack that increases his magical power, stacks up to 25 times, and the stacks are permanent. So they actually added this new passive to Chronos, so it makes sense. He's Lord of Time, and the longer he's in a match, he gains more magical power. So you definitely don't want to be messing with late game Chronos because he is going to be hitting extremely hard. As for leveling his abilities, I always get his first ability first. Like I said, it's a short cooldown and you can hit both the melee and ranged creeps with it. Second ability, it is really up to you if you want to kind of get more movement speed, and if you're worried about getting ganked or getting killed, go ahead and pick up your Accelerate. Accelerate would also be a really great option to pick up second because you can use the section 2 of this ability to regain all of your mana on your abilities, so you can pretty much cast infinitely almost. So, and the section 1 also helps him really well with early sustain. Level 3, just pick up stop time, gives you a great stun if you're in any trouble, or it can help pick up an early kill. I always like to max time rift first, and at level 5 pick up his ultimate. We're going to be maxing this out. And this is where some people differ. It's really personal preference. A lot of people like maxing his 2 after his 1. If you're really good at managing his sections and you hit a lot of basic attacks, go ahead and max this out. Most of the time I do like to max out stop time, just it helps a lot with lane clear. You're going to be, using your time rift and then your stop time, and you can pretty much clear the whole lane. So that's what I like to do. It's just my preference. Maxing his 1, and really you guys shouldn't be putting any points into his rewind. The only thing it does is decrease the cooldown by 5 seconds, and I don't think that's too necessary. You'd pretty much want to be maxing his other abilities just to gain the damage and everything off of those. So pretty much you could just be maxing accelerate after you maxed out stop time, and then after that put all your points into your rewind, because just the cooldown isn't enough to justify putting too many points into it early. And that's how I would level him up. And again, if you want to level up the 2 after the 1, then go ahead and do that. Either way works out great for him. So this is Chronos' 1. It has a really small radius, but if you can land it on someone, it does do a lot of damage. There is a little bit of a wind-up time with it, so keep that in mind. Normally his combo is to 3 to stun them, and then that is an easy setup to hit your 1. So that's the combo you want to be doing most of the time. And with the 2, you can see his passive, it's that clock. So it shows you what sections are going to be pressed first. So if I press it, I get the first section, and this is when he heals for 1.5% max health per second. And since I'm full health, it isn't showing that, but definitely keep that in mind. If you are low, just pop your first section and you should be okay. And this is his second section where he gets 100% of his mana back. So as you can see, after that is done, I still have the same amount of mana I started with. So when you're clearing lane by yourself, this is definitely the section I'd recommend to pick up, just because it helps him not have too many mana problems. And you can see again that we go back to the mana we had earlier. So it's really cool, a cool part of Chronos that I didn't know about when I first started playing him. So definitely use his sections to their full potential. Third is just 25% bonus magical power. And his fourth section is really important because it gives him a ton of magical power in his basic attacks, and this is the section that you want to be using most when you are sieging down towers or trying to get a tower down by yourself. So the main sections I would say to pay attention to is 1, 2, and 4. Section 3 is nice, but it's not as nice as 4. But sometimes if you're in the middle of a fight, you just press your 2 and you're just on whatever section you're in just to get the bonus attack speed and movement speed. So pretty much just when you're playing Chronos, try to keep an eye on his passive and use them when necessary. The mana for when you're laning, the 1 to sustain, and the 4 for when you're team fighting and knocking down towers. So a full combo would be, going into his fourth section, stunning them, and using your 1. Sometimes you don't even have to get that close, but it's just like an example. And just throw your 1 off because it has an extremely low cooldown. But that's going to be the easiest setup for your 1. So his ultimate is pretty much a get out of jail free card, but you do have to keep in mind a little bit where you were 8 seconds ago. So if you don't have full health and mana 8 seconds ago, then you're not going to have it when you ult. So it just rewinds to where I was, and then you can start fighting again with your cooldowns back and everything like that. So it is really a good ability for him to keep in the fight and to get away from people. Do keep in mind that his ultimate does have a wind-up time. So when I'm winding up right there, I can still be killed. So if you're really low health, you do want to be careful because people can still damage you and kill you before you can get your ult off. But this is why Chronos is so good, because people get so annoyed when they're about to kill him. They use all their abilities and ultimates on Chronos, and then he just rewinds and he goes after you again after damaging you in the first fight. So he can be really potent. As for builds, I always go penetration boots.
Some will tell you.
Gives him some nice power and penetration. I do like picking Book of Thoth up on him because sometimes I feel like he does have mana problems if you don't manage his section 2 of his second ability that well. So it has some pretty good power and mana in it, so I like picking it up. And this is my mid Chronos build. Third, I like going Spear of Desolation. Is really good penetration, and 10% cooldown is always really good. Then I like going into Polynomicon. I think this is a must for Chronos. It is so good. Gives a bunch of mana, lifesteal, and the Polynomicon proc on his auto is amazing. So pick that up, and then I would sell those. If I'm ahead and have enough for Rod of Tahuti, I would pick that up. It never really hurts to go into another penetration item if they're pretty tanky. So this is kind of a typical thing I would do in mid lane. And then let's pick up just Aegis. But he hits a lot. Like, you just saw that it procs off of his 2. And he's already hitting basics for really hard, and that poly hit for 500. So and it hits on his 3 as well. So you're getting guaranteed autos when you stun someone, and pretty much when you just auto someone. Like, look at how hard his basic attacks hit in his 4th section. It is insane. He can destroy towers and destroys late game as well. So that's why I think poly is so good. And double penetration is also really good as well. If you didn't want to pick up double penetration, I would probably recommend something in this tree. Usually I'd recommend Demonic Grip for the carry Chronos, but Chronos did used to have a hastened effect on his second ability, but they took that away in Season 4, so you could always pick up Hasten Ring, but I would recommend that more for a carry Chronos than a mid-mage Chronos. Shaman's Ring, I think, would be a really good pickup. Gives him good movement speed and power, and then dealing all 50 stacks of Shaman's Ring is a really good effect as well, because it makes his abilities do more damage once you get that proc on him. So let's just get all the stacks. So if you guys didn't know what Shaman's Ring does, the passive is successfully hitting a god with a damaging ability causes them to become debuffed, taking 10% additional damage from all of your damaging sources for 5 seconds. And this is the evolved Shaman's Ring, so that's when you get 5,000 damage on enemy gods. So this is pretty good for him, in my opinion, just because of the movement speed and the passive. So if you didn't want to do the double penetration route, you could always go this way. I'm just gonna come and show what he does. Like, he just destroys. He does so much damage, and he's relatively safe because of his ultimate. Like I said before, you just have to use it quickly and efficiently, and you should be good. He is a really good mage, especially the longer the game goes on. And you can see how many stacks he has on his passive just above his health bar, so that'll show you how many stacks you've built up over the time of the game. So that's my mid-mage Chronos build. As you can see, just hits so hard. Like, these autos are doing 500 in his 4th stance. It's insane. Next up could be where we could go over the carry Chronos build, so starting in the duo lane. Like I said before, start off with these, and I like doing penetration boots. You could even do Book of Thoth as well, you could stack it really easy in the carry lane. With carry Chronos, you can go more attack speed items, so you can go something like Demonic Grip, which your basic attacks reduce the target's magical protection for 12% for 3 seconds. So this is a pretty good item. Just don't build this with obsidian shards, they cancel each other out. After that, I'd probably do something like Spear of Isolation, and you could even do Shaman's Ring again. Shaman's Ring does not give you attack speed, but it's still good in any Chronos build. You could pick up Hasten Ring, gives you 25% attack speed, plus you get the haste effect for 6 seconds every 25 seconds. So it's always something you could do with him. And then picking up Rod of Tahuni to finish it off. Actually, instead of Spear of Desolation, I'd pick up Polly here, because you do have penetration with Demonic Grip, so you could do something like that. But he does hit a little bit less. Well, we are in the first thing of his section, so he attacks pretty hard and does a lot of damage. So for when you're carrying with him, you want more attack speed just to do pretty much what carries do normally, just do a bunch of damage with your auto attacks. And let's go into our fourth section. We're still doing 388 damage, and since we have more attack speed, we're actually doing a little bit more per second, so. But the haste ring can be really fun on him, because he can just kite you and kill you instantly. So that is what I typically like to build on him. Let me know what you guys think and what items you think are really good on Chronos. I really hope that this guide has helped out those of you who've been wanting to play him. I really do recommend him. He's a super strong mage. And let me know what other gods you'd like me to do in future videos. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.